Namaste, everyone. Welcome to our teachings, our Kriya Yoga teachings. And these are actually 20-minute teachings that we've just started. They're insights, and then we have followed with questions and answers. And they are on the first Sunday of the month at 10 a.m. and are given by the Swamis, disciples, and friends of Goswami Kriyananda and the Kriya Yoga lineage. They're meant to briefly look into the different aspects of yoga and the teachings and generate some maybe thoughtful contemplation, inspiration for your month. Kriya Yoga is a branch of yoga that offers practical application of ancient practices to our modern day life through that of a householdership. And this is how we're seeking to balance and really these crazy lives add a little bit of sanity perhaps to them. My name is Swami Pharananda, and it's been my good fortune to study the spiritual science of Kriya Yoga and be here to offer an introduction to two parts of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, Asana and Pranayama, two of the 8 stages, or they call it angas, of Patanjali's. And those are branches or parts. Originally, these ancient teachings were orally passed on from teacher to student, and it's really attributed to Patanjali's, who actually compiled them. So it was a long time ago, and putting this actually into words and written material was quite a feat, since he was taking these threads. A sutra is what these all are, and they're called sutras, and they're threads. And Patanjali's threaded the teachings into the fundamental and foundational text of classical yoga philosophy. So that's quite a mouthful. But today we're going to focus on asana, which are also known as poses or postures. And they were really developed. I thought it was always interesting because people say, well, how do they get this cat pose? Or how do they get this pose or that pose? And they were really developed by the ancient sages after they were watching and observing the animals and their postures and also their instinctual behaviors around them. And they really felt that this is the way that animals really help to balance themselves in in just the life around them. And Goswami Kriyananda wrote that animals in their natural state know instinctively what ought to be done at any given moment. Unfortunately, modern man has lost a lot of this attunement to the instinctual. And through the practices of Kriya Yoga and different techniques, we are trying to regain that attunement to life. So in the craziness of this world where we have more than enough stimulation happening to us, the quietness, you can find it through different techniques. Kriya Yoga is one path. There are many other paths people can take. I think one of the interesting and difficult ways is to find what path, what set of teachings do you really want to follow that help you balance yourself? That's what we're looking for here, is greater awareness and also trying to get our lives into a state where Kriyananda always talked about joy and happiness. And people say, oh, great, you can talk about this, but how do I get there? What am I doing with this? And it takes some practice. It takes time. Really, one of the things that's important is to carve out a part of your day where you find this time to practice in the quietness, because a lot of us don't want to hear a quiet mind. We are used to the rattling. For a lot of people, it's very difficult to just sit in the quietness and enjoy it, to enjoy the peacefulness. And it can be something that we really do need to work at. So I guess a good first way of doing that would be to turn off all your electronics. Not me, not now, but when you are actually ready to practice. And it can be a few minutes when you wake up in the morning, when before you go to sleep at night, midday. I know some people that they practice at noon during their lunch hour, multiple times a day. And when you're trying to bring this into your life, asanas or the postures, hatha yoga postures, are one way that people are introduced to these different concepts. And the goal really is to balance our life energies and attuning to the state feeling within the yoga postures. And somebody once said there's 84 yoga postures and 84,000 variations. So it's an interesting thought. These days, there are very many variations on traditional hatha yoga, many ways to achieve this goal of balance, peace, focus, greater awareness. One of the things that people often ask is, how do I know if it's the right yoga class for me, since we're talking about asanas? And boy, do we have a great, um, we have so much to choose from these days. And I remember Goswami Kriyananda once said, yeah, there's an oversaturation of the market. It's very, it's like going into a candy store. And really, deciding on which yoga class to take really requires research on what you're seeking and knowing yourself. Are you looking for strength, quietness, peacefulness, flexibility? Perhaps you've had an injury and you're trying to gently maneuver through that injury. Um, the suggestion is look at the description of the class, talk to the teacher. And usually you can go and take a class if you're not sure to see if it's your level and what you want to do. You'll get a feeling for the class and the teacher that's best for you. And sometimes it takes a little work, and sometimes if you're lucky, boom, your teacher is right there. Wow. Hatha, Hatha, is the linking of the sun and the moon, the right and the left sides of our body. It has to do with bringing these together, and we call it the namaste when we bring our hands together. It's the susumna, the center point of our being, our spinal axis, that helps us to bring these energies together. And through actual physical postures and physical practice, we bring those two alignments together. Stretching, relaxing, relieves the tension in our body. The oxygenated blood is circulated through all the muscles and the organs. Tensions of the body are relieved and the mind becomes stiller. You can also do this by reversing if you're coming into these practices. Some people actually come in through the meditation aspect. They have been praying, meditating, and this also, of course, causes the relaxation. But they say sometimes this is a harder way to come into the yoga philosophy and the yoga techniques, because really training the mind is, if you can believe it, is more difficult than training the body. It really is. Because with the body, you can sit, even you can make it much more, you can sit in a chair, make the postures comfortable. You can lay on the floor. You can, there's things you can do with your body that will help you to end up stilling it, I would say, faster in a way, until you've really developed your meditational techniques, which Sharon, Swami Tapasananda, is going to be talking about in next month's 10 a.m. And it really is, asanas are something that people say, oh, it's not competition. It's good to do walking. It's good to do your other practices. And, some of you that take different classes, or there's the pickleball type of thing, and all kinds of ways to move your body. But the movement of the body, as you probably all know, once you sit in that stillness, it's really gotten the body to come to that single pointedness. And Kriya Yoga is a system of learning and perfecting the 8 stages of self-control. That's the Patanjali's 8 stages that we have talked about. And it's really a way of attaining spiritual health and greater awareness. And Asana, as we talked about, is the 3rd stage. And people say, do I have to do yamas and niyamas, which are the first 2 stages? Do I have to do these all in this series? Do I have to start with asanas? Or do I have to start with yamas and niyamas? Can I just go to asanas? Well, as most of us know, a lot of people, they don't start with what I'm supposed to be doing and what I'm not supposed to be doing. They go into a yoga class. And a lot of times the process is you're in the yoga class and you've taken it for a while. And now, the teacher has provided some insights or things that have piqued your interest. And you say, oh, it's like the water in the fountain. I want more. The thirst, I want to quench my thirst. And then the teacher will bring in, well, you can do the meditation, or, try to do the fasting, or look at these, what we talked about last month, things we should do and shouldn't do that help us to attain the quietness in our being. It's a big package. And the asanas, yoga teachings, yoga postures are one part of the package. Because as we know, sometimes we sit there and we're going to go into our yoga classes and, oh my goodness, my knee is hurting today. Or I have a stuffy nose. Or I'm wondering if I left the keys in the garage in the car running. And through physically beginning to stretch, to release, and let go, we focus on the body, on the physical being. And well, our knee may not stop hurting, but we find a position that we can begin to straighten the body, because in yoga, hatha yoga, first thing we always talk about is let's straighten the spine. Let's release the shoulders. Let's bring the energies. And the Kriya energies are what starts at the bottom of the spine. They come up through what they call the chakras, the energy centers, and up through the top of the head, and then they flow back down. And through the postures, we are physically working these energies. We use it by doing twists, forward bends, which open the chakras, backward bends, which release the energies up the spine. And we always try to do even in our practices. So if you're twisting to the right, then you will be twisting to the left. Notice what your teachers do. They have a form and function to what they're doing in their postures and in their classes. And for those of you that have done your asanas, many times it's begun by, some teachers will begin your classes as asana on the floor, in a savasana, what they call. That's when you're laying on the floor and relaxing. Some teachers begin sitting in a meditative posture. And what we're trying to do, some begin standing. It depends on which type of yoga that you'll be doing. But in all things, what you're doing is you're trying to align those energies, bring your mind together. The 5 stages of a posture in Kriya Yoga are attuning to the posture, flowing in, holding the posture, and sweeping out of the posture, the relaxation. And every posture is not for everyone. And one must know the postures and learn from, I would say, a qualified instructor. You know, it's like the old, what did you call those wagons they used to have out in the Wild West, and they used to have all those tonics, you know. You had to beware and careful of who you're learning from. The teacher should never push you. You must always, if you're not feeling right with the posture, ask the teacher for help. And they a lot of times can give you an alternative. Now they combine this with pranayama, which is breath control. And that's the fourth stage of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And it's breath control is control of the life energies, is what they're talking with pranayama. And they talk, oh, okay, it's always breathing techniques, prana. Well, prana is everywhere. Prana is in the air and the sky and what you eat and the people around you. Prana is what makes up this world. And it is through this breathing, as we incorporate it, eventually, you can eventually incorporate it into your asanas, your postures, but you begin to notice that your breathing begins to settle and that prana will vibrate and it appears as the life force. And it's interesting to know that the average person, the average human being, breathes approximately 15 to 18 times per minute and normally exchanges 1 pint of air during that time. Now, by learning to have breathing techniques, the more deeply you begin to automatically breathe in the air and this vitality, and you begin to really control the air as it flows in and out of your body, which is one way for us to control this life energy. It's harder to control the air around us or the ground that we're walking on for prana. You can increase your prana that way too, going to Sedona, going to places that are very beautiful. But if you want to do it in the here and the now, pranayama is one way to begin to bring that into your body. Swami Kriyananda has said that the average person breathes by inhaling, retaining, and exhaling in a very personal pattern. Each person's breathing pattern is more unique than the fingerprint that we have. The science of pranayama is the most intense yoga technique that can be utilized for expanding your life, improving your intellect, creativity, retentive memory. I think that sounds like a great a great way to start. And it is the key to spiritual progress. The effects of pranayama are more constructive when practiced in conjunction with other yoga stages. So this is where they all begin to sort of meld together. And there are many pranic techniques. And it is easiest to just choose one simple inhaling, quieting the mind. So inhale, exhale, release. Let's try that again. Let's closing our eyes, straightening the spine. Let's inhale, slowly filling the lungs, feeling the energies come up the spine, and exhale, releasing. Quietness. Well, I think one of the things that we have here is we only have 20 minutes to introduce you to eons of information and different techniques. So I'm going to thank you all for joining me today. And I hope this helps you to expand your awareness a little bit more and explore the other areas a little further. And we are going to stop the recording at this point and open up the questions and discussions and anything else we might want to talk about. Thank you for sharing. Namaste.